Hey y'all, how's it going? I am back with a wrap up. Now, I'm trying to figure out a couple of ways that I want to format this, I guess, or not really format, but I want my videos to be fun. Like, I don't just want to be sitting here like, yes, I read Stephen King's Misery. Yeah, you know, I don't want to be that way. So I'm going to try to figure out how to make this more fun. I have no clue, but we'll get there. So bear with me. For today, I'm going to be kind of bland, but there's no telling what I'm going to come up with. If you aren't already, please consider subscribing, and after the video, if you really enjoyed this type of content, please give me a like so that I know, and I really appreciate you guys. It's been a good month. May was an extraordinary month. I read like 5-6 books, which I consider pretty good. I just really enjoyed myself. I've really been trying to focus on having fun making my videos and having fun with what I'm reading. Now, I did read these books and these are based off of enjoyment. Just because I may have enjoyed or may not have enjoyed a book doesn't mean that you shouldn't read it. I digress. So for the first thing for the month of May, I was feeling like I needed some spooky vibes. So I listened to My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, and I really liked the narrator. It was amazing. It was narrated by Emily Woo Zeller. I highly recommend. This book isn't for the faint of heart, so if you're not really a horror genre type of person, I definitely, it's pretty spooky. Like, from 0 ghost to 10 ghosts, I'd rate it a 6 ghosts. Oh, we'll go with 7 ghosts. It's got 7 ghosts. It's pretty dang scary. So My Best Friend's Exorcism is exactly what it sounds like. It is about these 2 teenage girls. One of them is possessed by a demon, and the other one is trying to help her out, trying to get her best friend back, trying to exorcise this demon, and you just kind of follow them along this adventure, and you kind of see the character that is possessed slowly lose it. And not only that, but this is packed with a lot of pop culture from, I believe, the 70s. Yeah, so there's a couple of things that are mentioned, like E.T., the movie. There's a couple of song references, and there's even little excerpts of songs from that time frame. That is just so cool. I don't know if you realized, I'm sure you could probably guess my rating for this book, but it was a 5 stars. It's very good. Moving on, I did a buddy read with my friend Amy from Amy Myers. Definitely check her out. She actually designed my channel art and my Twitter banner, and she also made me a icon for my Instagram. So I read this with Amy. It is A Girl Like Her by Talia Hibbert. After becoming more in tune with the romance genre, I really started to branch out, and Talia Hibbert is one of those authors that she's just an instant auto buy for me. I was actually reading Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers, and Amy and I were supposed to be reading it together, but we just didn't really like the book that much. So we decided, okay, well, let's go with something that is known and true, so Talia Hibbert. And I'm gonna have to read the synopsis for this because my brain is... Ruth Kabat is okay with being an outcast. Between her autism, her comic book nerdery, and the whiff of scandal her small town can't forget, Ruth will always be Ravenwood's black sheep. Since she prefers silence and solitude to gossip and pub crawls, that suits her just fine until Evan Miller comes around. Evan Miller is an ex-military man. He's gorgeous, confident, and he's Ruth's new neighbor. Unlike everyone else, he doesn't seem to mind her crotchety ways or her cooking disasters, because Lord knows that girl can't cook. I've been there. I understand. In fact, if Ruth didn't know any better, She might think Evan likes her, but Ruth's been burned before and some lessons are hard to forget. She can't let her guard down no matter how many home-cooked meals Evan brings over. Not only is he gorgeous, he is totally my type, but he cooks. Yeah, you just described my husband. Because affection is temporary, trust is made to be broken, and the heat of desire is a dangerous thing to play with. So why does this man feel so safe? I mean, do I need to say anything else? Just the synopsis alone, if that doesn't make you want to read this book, I don't know what to tell you. Highly recommend. Obviously, a 5 out of 5 stars. Moving on to the next book I read for the month of May was the Spooky Bitches Book Club pick, and that is Confessions by Kanae Minato. I'm so sorry if I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Even after looking this up, I feel like I say that in every video. I have to say an author's name. Like, I could screw up Karen Smith and call it K-Ron Smith. It was alright. Like, I'm not mad about it. It was interesting, and I think a lot of the things people say they dislike about this is the fact that the story pretty much repeats itself with every POV. You get a good idea of exactly what happened, but you're getting it from that person's perspective and what that person did that day. I didn't really have a problem with that. It's just not something that I was like, oh my gosh, this blew me away. Like, it was good. It was fine. 3 stars is fine. This book is about a teacher. I believe she's a middle school teacher. She is retiring at the end of the semester because one of the students, two of the students murdered her 4-year-old child. She's basically telling them the story of what's going on, and she never really tells the other parts of the class who it is, but just by the way she's describing it, they can figure it out. And it was really interesting to see the different POVs from the students as well as the teacher, and there's also a point of view from one of the students' mothers. 3 out of 5 stars. I could take it, I could leave it. If you read it, let me know what you think. Then for my graphic novel for the month, Something is Killing the Children by James Tynion IV. This graphic novel really reminded me of The Walking Dead, as in you've got this main character who is hunting monsters. It's not really an apocalyptic world, but you do have these monsters, and there's this woman who goes basically from town to town killing these monsters to save the children. I'll read the synopsis for you because that was terrible. When children begin to go missing in the town of Archer's Peak, all hope seems lost until a mysterious woman arrives to reveal that terrifying creatures are behind the chaos and that she alone will destroy them, no matter the cost. It's the monsters who should be afraid. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, but I have to say, while I did enjoy it, I hardly remember what was in the graphic novel, and I'm not sure if that's because I read it on my phone. Maybe that's something I need to look into, but 4 out of 5 stars. The second to last book that I read was amazing. This is Gauze of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. One of my new favorite authors to read. This was a pretty popular book when it was published. It's still a pretty popular book. It was published back in July of 2019. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It's about a young girl named Cassiopeia, and she lives in Mexico with her family. She's kind of the black sheep of the family because her mother, who came from this rich family, went and married a Mayan man, and they looked down upon that. They had a really hard time. Cassiopeia's dad ends up passing away, and they have to move back to her mom's rich family, and from there she works for them. She's basically an indentured servant. She works for the roof over her head. She irons her grandfather's clothes. And turns out that there's a little black box in her grandfather's bedroom, and lo and behold, when she opens it up, she basically gets possessed by a Mayan god, the god of death. Cassiopeia goes from being striving to get out of the position that she's in to go and live her life. This is the 1920s, so we've got the jazz music, they've got the really short bob hair, and it's just really fun because for Cassiopeia and for that time frame that this is going on, there's some parts of the world that frown upon the 1920s and the 1920s style. You just slowly see her growing into the woman that she wants to be, as well as trying to figure out how to help this god of death and how to get the bone shard that is in her finger out without dying. I don't know if I said this already, but I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Then on the way back from a family trip, I read Barracoon by Zora Neale Hurston. And I'm going to read the synopsis because I'm not going to butcher this. Nay. In 1927, Zora Neale Hurston went to Plateau, Alabama, just outside of Mobile, to interview 86-year-old Cujo Lewis. Of the millions of men and women and children transported from Africa to America as slaves, Cujo was then the only person alive to tell the story of this integral part of the nation's history. Hurston was there to record Cujo's first-hand account of the raid that led to his capture and bondage 50 years after the Atlantic slave trade was outlawed in the United States. I really like the way that Zora Neale Hurston captured this because she really kept the essence of who Cujo was, the way he talked, the way he thought, you know, his beliefs, and, you know, the differences between who he was as a young African man versus being this old African American man now living in Alabama. I highly recommend. I did this solely based off of what I got from the book, how much I knew from the beginning versus after I read the book, and what exactly I absorbed. So I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, that's it. That's all the books that I read for the month of May. If you liked this video, please give me a like. Also, again, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys later. See y'all later, bye!